people are probably already asking, what is the Forever Agent? And we will get into it. And this is going to be a bit of an anthology. Each one of these points could be a 2-hour podcast in and of itself. We decided to come up with a podcast exclusively for the Forever Agent concept. I want to dive into this. Getting back to the customized home marketing system is you have to explain to the home seller that this is your first opportunity to directly influence buyers once they're in your home.
And Andrew, another thing, Mr. Homeowner, that I like to get your opinion on is that we have, within our brand, we have a program called Neighbors Know Best.
Yes.
And Neighbors Know Best is based on this premise. In the world of ratings and reviews, the most trusted form of advertising are from P-E-E-R-S. I'll spell it because of my Boston accent. Peers, because I may sound like the fruit. Okay?
Peers.
By contemporaries, people that are already using the product. So what I like to do is I'd like to go to the neighbors and get some testimonials, because then I can have a sheet at the open house called Neighbors Know Best, because they love to know what people think who live here, okay? So if we decide to work together, would that be something that you'd like me to do? And of course, if there's anybody you wouldn't want me to visit, and I understand, I wouldn't. How do you feel about that?
It's absolutely beautiful. So all this stuff is connected. And once we get to the end, we're going to show you each one of these things has been forensically examined and placed in the right order here. And the other piece of it is when you're doing these things, and you can even explain this to the home seller, you're not doing anything sleazy. These are not only going to help the home seller maximize their value, it's going to help you get more listings, help you get more credibility, build your personal brand, be the knowledge broker, the reason of trust.
And then the other thing, I'm going to make another statement that's going to be to both audiences here, both you as the homeowner and the network agents. They're going to say this. Oh, and by folks, let me acknowledge there's another reason why I like to do this, because this also helps me potentially represent neighbors in the future when they want to sell their homes, okay? And people like that because it shows you're industrious, you're strategic, and you're intelligent.
Yeah, you're what I call disarmingly honest. When I go over through all these...
Exactly.
When I'm going over the drone video and some of this immense digital influence, I say, folks, I'm not just doing this to increase the value of your home.
Yeah.
I'm doing it because I want to list every single home on
Exactly.
this block.
It's like one of my favorite ads I wrote for my company is this. And people in the network, some of you got to jump on this. I used to advertise this back then. If you're selling your home, and if you don't select our company, then we're both going to lose money.
Do you like that?
Because that's honest. People love, it's disarmingly honest.
All right, so now we've covered home seller insights, immense digital influence, content-rich open house. And this is where we have to talk about the brand.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
we want to talk about the brand.
It's what an opportunity. Guys, guess what? No other brand can say these things we're about to say. We're introducing the brand. Let me kick it off, because I was already coached up by Alan before I gave this presentation in Omaha. And you always ask, look, we're in control, consultative, collaborative, confident. How important do you think brands are, in general, in influencing consumer behavior? That's the question to the homeowner.
Again, range, reach, and influencing.
We're transitioning from content-rich open houses. You say, okay, now that we've covered that, how important do you think brands are in general in influencing consumer behavior? That's right. Yeah. They're very important. 95% of consumers' purchases are brand influences. And we have a brand that's synonymous with physical success, with trust, integrity, stability, and longevity.
And if I have a major executive, I'm going to say, and financial rectitude.
Wow. Okay. Save that for an executive.
Save that for a high-level executive.
Yeah. So when you're explaining this brand, because only Berkshire Hathaway has this.
Exactly.
And
Berkshire Hathaway Home Services.
Well, Berkshire Hathaway in general.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Berkshire Hathaway. Look, we have the Oracle of Omaha talking about why forever is important. And we're forever agents. So that brand's really important. And you always want to mention the halo effect. And many consumers, guys, look, these home sellers aren't dumb. You can bring this stuff up, and it's a great conversation. It's collaborative. You say, have you ever heard of the halo effect? And they may say yes, or you just explain it because you don't want to ask them a question they might not know the
You want them
to
imagine a halo over their home.
Right. The halo effect is simply this: the tendency for an impression.
Let's go outside and see if we can see it.
Don't do that. Never leave
Yeah,
the
exactly.
kitchen table.
Right.
All right, look, I can't take any more bad ideas out of you. Okay, so halo effect, the tendency for an impression created in one area to influence the opinion in another area. And there's all the studies. Alan's the senior VP of Research and Development, so don't go on the diatribe on how we're the only ones who can document trust, because that's another podcast.
Right.
But this halo effect is so important for the home sellers to get, because the fact that Berkshire Hathaway, our parent company, is one of the most profound, most trusted brands in all the world, and us over here at our brand, we can leverage that. And my favorite line that I'm pretty sure I got it from you, like most of my stuff these days, is you say, look, anyone can put a sign in your yard.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Anybody can put a sign in your yard, but not my sign.
Exactly, that's it.
And when you say that, you hold it. We're not joking, we're not smiling. Anyone can put a sign in your yard, but not my sign. You blow a hole right through them with that statement.
Andrew, I'm sorry that I'm here when you have to say it, so you can't pretend it was your idea. Forgive me for that. Okay.
I got plenty of runway to pretend that these are mine in the future.
Go ahead.
But the way I say it's mine.
Oh, the way you say it's amazing.
The way I say it's
difference.
mine.
The way you look, the way you say it, it makes all the difference in the world.
So boom, that's 4. Brand significance. Anything you want to add to brand significance?
Yeah, because then if the homeowner presses you, and the reason why we want to say in general is because the home sellers aren't accustomed to attributing brand significance to real estate brands, because most brands are also defined by a specific product, a Big Mac, a McDonald's, a Mercedes. It's automatically distinctive. Whereas real estate's a service, so it's tougher. And so by asking how important do you think real estate brands are in general, they'll say yes. Then you go to that. But the other thing is, if they ever press you, well, how does it really matter in real estate? Well, Andrew, because of our brand, it informs us that while most of the industry focuses more on selling more homes, because of our brand and what it represents and the halo effect, our focus is on getting homes sold for more. And also because of our brand, a lot of real estate companies, they focus more on personal promotion, but because of our form, we just naturally focus more on property promotion. And the other thing is this: a lot of people, they're more likely with a very venerated brand like ours to, in terms of influence, we hear buyers all the time calling their families back home saying, I'm looking at this great property. It's a Berkshire Hathaway home. Now, we wish to say it's a Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, but we can't discipline all of them. But believe me, they're not saying that for many, if not any other brands, but they do say, yeah, I'm looking at a Berkshire Hathaway property. And you've got to say that to home sellers because it's the truth.
Well, you just reminded me of an important point that I missed on brand significance before we jump into the real estate ecosystems, which is this. Some brands focus only on the high end.
Yeah.
Some brands focus on waterfront. Some brands take these niche approaches, and there's nothing wrong with that. And there's a lot of good brands out there. But our brand's for everyone because we're an aspirational brand. And we're a for everyone brand. You have to bake that in there because we serve all swaths of people. So we have the benefit of having this extremely powerful brand, but it's also powerful that it's for everybody. Some brands, won't get out of bed for a listing under $1 million, and that's not us because we're for everyone, and everyone wants to be aspirational.
And there's one other thing, and I'm glad that we're being comprehensive because the network deserves this. And I don't mean to sound pompous or pedantic, but this is important. Another thing to say is that, folks, we're a luxury when this is appropriate. Folks, even though we're a luxury brand, other luxury brands only define the property. Our brand also defines the aspirations of the buyer because we're an aspirational brand. Beautiful. Because it also suggests prudent decision-making.
So we just gave you a ton of ammo to talk about your brand significance. So again, home seller insights, immense digital influence, content-rich open houses, brand significance. Now we're going to talk about...
And the other thing, Andrew, when you talk about the brand or anytime you're saying something that sounds like you're being boastful, you can always also say this. And each one of these, we may have 100 people that just picked this, or they like that idea. So we like to throw things out.
Sure.
we're one of the top 5 or 6 most respected brands, the Berkshire Hathaway, although we're Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. But I know that means nothing to you unless we get you the best results. Because then what you're doing, you're balancing pomposity with humility, and you're basically directing everything to the homeowner. It's never about you. I've sold this much of real estate, but I know that means nothing to you unless we get you the best results. We're the most respected brand in real estate, but I know that means nothing to you unless we get you the best results. People love that.
You got to bake that into your customized home marketing system and proposal. But the pro tip is here, anytime you're saying anything about yourself, your brand, your company, your stats, how great you are, you always bake in, but I know that means nothing to you unless we can get you the results you
Exactly.
desire, or some form of it.
And then anytime you're bragging in your advertising, you should always put this: my clients deserve the very best. Everything you do is for others. It's got to be reflected in everything you say and everything you advertise on social media.
Exactly. So let's talk about real estate ecosystems now, which is point 5 in the 7-level step up. And when Alan and I were going over this, we've determined there's 2 real estate ecosystems. Mm-hmm. So when you're presenting that to the home seller, how would you frame that in terms of the ability to effectively manage 2 real estate ecosystems?
Well, the first ecosystem is that, and what I used to always do, because I was generally with one of my associates, and I would always go, so let's say I was with you, okay? Mm-hmm. I would always say to the home seller, and these are industry points. When we sell a home, we have to sell it twice, first to the real estate community, then to the agent, or statistically, I will not be selling your home, but I'll be the reason it sells. I'm not a virtuoso, I'm a symphony conductor. All of this is speaking to the fact that there's a ecosystem. I used to show the ad that all the other companies were part of it. So if somebody said, well, gee, we're thinking of talking to this other company, well, that company's already part of our marketing system. They're already part of our ecosystem. Right. So every single agent in the network has been bestowed and blessed with a ecosystem because of the MLS, IDX, and the NAR.
Right.
And without that, we would be completely dysfunctional, and it would be tough for anyone to have optimized value, okay? Right. Everyone knows of that real estate ecosystem. But folks, there's another real estate ecosystem, and that is all of the participants of not only a transaction, but everything to do with post purchasing. And why don't you speak to that, Andrew?
Yeah, so Alan just discussed is the agent ecosystem. We have to effectively manage the agents that are going to be involved in this process. We incorporate every single brand, every agent that's involved in the local MLS. And no real estate company has more than 20% market share. But guess what? 100% of the homes are sold by 100% of the agents. So we include all of them in our marketing system. How do we do that? We're effectively targeting agents who probably have buyers to be interested in this home, regardless of the company. We include them all. So that's what Alan was describing. Anything?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
And so you have to manage that agent ecosystem, but you also have to manage what we call the home services ecosystem, which is all the stakeholders, all the cast of characters that may impact the value of this home, the successful outcome and transaction of this home. And that can be starting with getting the home ready, from cleaners, contractors, prepping the home ready, landscapers, to once you're engaged in the process, professional photographers, videographers. And then once your home's under contract, we have lender, title, home inspector, termite inspector, well and septic, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many people that we have to effectively manage. And unfortunately for us, because we've sold over $1 billion of real estate in the last 12 years, which I know means nothing to you unless we can get you the best result, is we have allies in these areas. And we haven't met a problem that we couldn't solve because we have the ability to effectively manage 2 ecosystems, the agents and everybody else.
And another way of pointing this out, and again, we want to be very elaborate here. This is a buffet today, is to also, here's another thing, another soundbite, if you will. But again, language is the clothing of ideas. You can say this to a home seller. Berkshire Hathaway is who we are. Home services is what we do. The other thing, when you speak about your real estate ecosystem, because you got to be very careful not having people thinking that you're offending their lack of readiness. A lot of people are very prideful of their home, especially what you just paid yesterday for the cleaning, okay? Okay, a lot of people are very prideful of their home, so you've got to be very delicate with that. So I suggest this. Folks, in 20 years of real estate, from $20 million homes to more modest properties, I have yet to see a home that could not be improved before taken to market by a little additional staging, whether it be staging that doesn't cost a penny, just ideas, all the way up to merchandising. And I'm very happy to point out things that I think can further enhance the value of your home. So make sure they're not taking it as an insult, so you're contextualizing it. Folks, in 20 years, I've never seen a home that couldn't be improved prior to being brought to the marketplace.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because when we get to the timeline, which is kind of my baby here, this top piece of this form, you always start with your ecosystem and who you're going to get involved to make sure we're preparing this property for sale. So that's a beautiful line. I have not met a home in 12 years that couldn't be improved by staging, because guess what? That's for everyone.
It's for everyone.
And how true is it?
It's the truth.
You know what? A lot of agents wimp out
Everything
there.
we say is the truth.
Of course. And a lot of agents wimp out there because they're so afraid of offending them. But Alan just gave you the language. It's impossible to offend anybody because every home could be improved by this. Of course they could.
That's why we keep referencing things and throwing things out here. Even though we could be accused of going on and on, this is critical.
Well, do you want to master your customized marketing proposal or not? That's my question to you. Because if you're not interested in this, if you don't love it, if you're not rewinding it, writing it down and playing it back, you're not doing it right. Because you don't practice on paychecks. Don't practice when you're going into the home. This is the prep that you do with your team, with your friends, get an accountability partner and master this stuff. If you want to be in this.
So you believe that it's impossible for somebody not to list with you?
Yeah, I mean, that's how I feel. And that's why I'm willing to do the behaviors to go out and get more listings. Now,
when I travel a lot, I ask people, can I go on your presentations? Because I love it. There's nothing because I like to honor people and make them feel great about how they live. It's a wonderful state to be in. Like I was when I went to Fargo.
Oh, yeah, don't get me started on Fargo, but that's why I am going to take Alan, because he's in our hometown. I'm going to say, hey, can you write me a couple listing descriptions for these 2 listings I just took? It's called getting unpaid consulting. That's another skill I have if you want to.
Well, I'll tell you what I won't write, park-like setting, but anyway, let's go.
So I'm going to tee this up. Now, we only have 2 more steps in the 7-level step up, and we're going to wrap this up in terms of the present and propose piece of this, because we still got to go over pricing and post.
That'll be the next segments.
So how important, Alan, Mr. Home Seller, how important do you think it is for a buyer's agent to show your home property, to show your home properly to their buyer clients? This is getting into cooperative showing suggestions, okay? Key step, cooperative showing suggestions, and that's the question you ask. So Alan, you created this, so take it from the top on why this is important, how the lingo goes. Take us through cooperative showing suggestions.
Well, what I did, in fact, I actually hired a few English majors from the local university, Ramapo University, college rather, to be in my cooperative showings division. And so I would go on all of the marketing presentations and I'd say, as you did, folks, another part of our customized home marketing system that has everything to do with influence, because again, we have to influence buyer agents, is what we call the cooperative showing suggestions. Now, these aren't highlight sheets, because a lot of agents have highlight sheets. These are cooperative showing suggestions. And before I explain how they work, let me ask you this question. How important is it to you, to the 2 of you, the way that you think that a buyer agent is going to show your property to the buyer? Oh, Alan's very important. But see, unfortunately, folks, whereas real estate agents in Baltimore have been trained on how to show homes in general, unlike a builder or developer, they're not trained to show individual homes. And because of that, let me tell you what happens. A lot of times a buyer agent will bring their buyer to a magnificent home like yours, a very distinctive property, but it doesn't matter because they're going to open up your closet and say, I think this is the family room. Now, when that happens, that kills all of the influence that buyer agent has with their buyer, because it signals to the buyer, this agent doesn't know anything about the home. They don't know any more than I do. So they can't sell the property. That's why we've created a program called Cooperative Showing Suggestions, which means if you'd be willing to work together, we would actually put together little pithy a showing strategy for all of the highlights of the home, and then I will email that to buyer agents, okay? So let me ask you this. If we decide to work together and you give me the honor of representing you and you give me the green light tonight so we can get your property in the market here in Baltimore before defoliation sets in, would you commit to me to be able to help me put together, because no one knows the home as well as you do, would you help me put together these showing strategies?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Now, here's something else I would say. Now, Andrew, on that subject, in terms of what buyer or buyer agents are going to say, the prevailing wisdom in real estate is that we're supposed to tell you not to be home during showings.
Right.
And the reason that's the prevailing wisdom in real estate is because buyers want to take psychic ownership. They may think anything that you say is unduly subjective. They want to linger. They may not want to be critical in your presence. So that's the prevailing logic within our industry. But I've got to tell you, certain buyers, certain homeowners that I meet with, and you too would be in that category, the way you showed the property, you were not hyperbolic. You're extensive. The fact that you're an engineer, you have so much knowledge about the property, Susan, okay? Let me ask you this. With certain buyers and with advance notice, would you be willing, even right from the beginning, to meet them and be part of the showing? Now, this may never happen, but with certain buyers, especially if people are coming in from Norway or the Northern Europe or from the Midwest, would you be willing to do that with them, okay? Andrew, now we're in real time here. I can't tell you, because I would say this, and it's the truth, because sometimes the buyers have more in common with the homeowners than they do the agents. The buyers understand why you're prideful, but they also know that you know this home the best. So with advance notice and with certain buyers, would you be willing to also be involved in the showing of the home?
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Okay, so I would always tie that in there as well. Okay.
So confident, collaborative, consultative, totally in control. You're never going to hear, and I fought Alan on this a little bit, but I totally get it now. When you tell a homeowner that's one of the highest compliments they can ever get.
Huh.
What you're saying, without saying it, is, I think so highly of you.
Exactly.
And
how you can control yourself and compose yourself.
But we've all had scenarios when the buyers talk to the sellers directly, which in the industry at large is a no-no. It smooths the deal over. People can solve their own problems. And we interject ourselves sometimes when we shouldn't. So on a second or third showing, you can plan for the seller to be there. That's a great piece to bring up because it strokes the seller, it tenderizes the seller, it makes them feel part of the process, totally collaborative. And you tell them it might not ever happen, and oftentimes it might not, but it's good to have that option.
Well, by the way, when my wife and I moved out to California, we were referred to this agent, a top producer, because I was an executive in the company. And at that time, my poor daughter's passed away, but she was in a wheelchair. She was quadriplegic. And we had the most disgusting experience with this agent of our life. She was the only person that ever made my daughter cry. She'd show us homes, and if he was 3 rooms away from the TV, she'd say, "Oh, you can still see the TV from here." No one in all the years Laura was alive, 15 years paralyzed, did anybody ever upset her. This agent was brutal, right? Then we saw a home that we forced her to show us. She didn't want to show us this because she tried to get the listing and she was turned down. So she discouraged us from seeing that property. But the agents who are with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Pam and Siggy, if they're seeing this, they'll remember this. They were at another home and I said, "Oh, you should look at this house." So our agent said, "No, I don't think they like that house." But my wife said, "No, we drove by that. It looks kind of nice." So we went, and the home sellers were so nice, and they actually said, "You know what? We have a place in Colorado that's on one level that's handicap accessible. If you folks ever, whether you buy this or not," we unbelievably bonded with these home sellers. And so a lot of times things like that happen, but that's the exception, not the rule. because I one time had a home seller that was so hyperbolic, was so over the top, so aggressive, so defensive, so crazy about putting out his home that I actually went to him. His first name was Brian. I says, Brian, can I send over a TV crew? Because I like to film you talking to buyers so I can show this in the training and to other home sellers why they should never be involved. Okay? And he said, yeah, fine with me. Okay. He was that crazy.
Yeah, so it's a case-by-case basis.
Exactly.
So getting back to the 7-level step-up, we talked about home seller insights, immense digital influence, content-rich open house, brand significance, real estate ecosystems, and we just covered cooperative showing suggestions, which again, the anchor here is how important do you folks think it is for a buyer's agent to show your home properly? Great. And the other hook here is you say, look, when we create these cooperative showing suggestions, we're going to send it to the agents before they show the property. And you know what? Half of them won't even open it. 60% of them probably won't even open this, but the top agents love this.
And the reason you say, and a lot of them aren't even going to open it, what you're basically saying, because they're not professional like me.
Because they're not.
That's why they're not here. That's why you don't want to interview anybody, because you might be stuck with someone like that.
Yeah, and 10% of the real estate, whatever the stats are in your market, 20% of the real estate sold by, or 80% is sold by 20%. Pareto principles holds true. That is so key. The cooperative showing suggestions. Again, it's the 4 C's. It's a nice little touch.
Andrew,
there.
one other thing that goes back to the cooperation. This is something that if the shoe fits, wear it in a positive sense. Some of you might like to say this to some homeowners when it comes to cooperation. I've made it a practice over the last 20 years, even though I fiercely negotiate on behalf of my clients, I do so in a way that elevates the professionalism and respects the buyer agent in front of their clients. In fact, a lot of people refer to me as, they call me the realtor's realtor, okay? People love to hear that.
No, absolutely.
It's like you're the maestro. Everyone loves to work with you. Everybody will bring their buyers.
Yeah, and we get so many compliments on this cooperative showing suggestions program and system because we've systemized a way for the buyer's agents to maintain credibility and to show this home properly. You always say that to a home seller. We get compliments from the top agents. Say, thank you so much for sending me this cooperative showing suggestions. I would have never known to look out the primary bedroom window because we were seeing it at 5 throughout this sunset.
And by the way, and who's going to say, oh, we'd be happy to do that with you, Andrew, but we're not listing with you.
Right.
They're in.
And one thing I added to this.
And they're not going to challenge you on the fee.
Is the cooperative.
And by the way, and folks, we do this for our clients, and this is all within our standard fee, whatever you say it is. That's the time you bring up your fee. You don't wait till have a dispute later. And when they, oh my God, this is great. You do this, you do that. Yeah, and this is all part of our standard, whatever the fee is, okay? And then you just move on. They get the message.
If you're taking us to fee, I got to say this. Here's the pro tip. Anytime these home sellers' eyes light up, and sometimes it's during immense digital influence. Sometimes it's they're so taken aback that you're so collaborative with the home seller insights. Sometimes you're blowing them away with your well-marketed, networked, content-rich open house. Each point of the 7-level step up, everybody's different. Sometimes they're just going to go, oh my gosh, we've never even heard of such a thing. Anytime you get that window, you drop
That's
it in.
you jump on it. You seize right on it.
Oh, guys, this is all included in our company standard 6%.
Exactly.
Or whatever it is. All fees are negotiable.
Right.
But that's when you drop it in. You do not make the commission conversation an event because what you're doing is you're making the home seller feel like they have to fight you. Hey, is it okay if we charge X?
Make it easy on them.
Yeah, it's all included.
Let them off the hook. They don't want to fight on this. They just think they have to.
Never make the fee an event.
Exactly. But wait till they love something.
Anytime. And you can bring it up multiple times.
By the way, I love your brand. Oh, you're the best thing. It's all part of our fee.
Each one of these things. And then we're going to end on the customized editions as far as the 7-level step up. Now, guys, we riffed on a lot of these points. You can get through this in 12 minutes with a home seller.
Exactly.
12 minutes. Because they get to dictate the pace. You're giving them what they want. And every good salesperson knows, hey, you got to know when to stop talking. You got to know when to lean in. You got to do your matching and mirroring. It's in our DNA. We're already good at sales. But just know that home seller insights, immense digital influence, content-rich open house, brand significance, ecosystems, cooperative showing suggestions, these are the 7 things we do that no one else does. Here's what everybody else does. Personally, I like to call it, of course, marketing. This is what everyone does, of course. Of course I'm going to have a sign. Of course I'm going to do this.
Right.
Of course I'm going to take pictures. When I go to the hotel, you don't ask if there's going to be towels there. Of course there's towels there.
I'm not going to insult your intelligence by telling you we put for sale signs in open houses.
But these are the things that no one else does that we feel are unbelievably important. No one else does home seller insights. They don't have the immense.
And then after we do the price, you get to the end, and you have a trial close.
We'll
do that later?
No, right here, right now, because this is customize
Okay.
and close.
Yeah.
Customize and close. So the last thing is customizations. What's the question you ask them after all that?